Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today we are pleased to have Beth Poss. We are going to be talking about the exploration of apps and other resources for supporting play and problem solving in young children in UDL early learning environments. Thank you for joining us, and I will pass it over to Beth now. Thanks.
Hi, well, welcome everyone. I see we've got people still logging in, but that's okay. And boy, that title, when you hear it from somebody else, it sure sounds like a mouthful. But we are going to look at apps and some other resources. We are really going to dive deep into, though, what about play and what about problem solving for developing early math skills means in young children. And we'll look at some of the research behind that as well as best practices. And then we'll look at some apps that can support it, apps and other low-tech, no-tech resources as well, because it's not just about technology. As usual, if you need to get a hold of me, you can find me at possbeth@gmail.com, or feel free to follow me on Twitter. Possbeth, at Possbeth is me as myself, and tweet about everything from early childhood up through professional development and beyond, and my at DCMCITP is very specific to early childhood and infants and toddlers. So we'll go ahead and get onto the next slide. We want to hear from you, so at the end of the webinar, please take a few minutes and fill out the survey. And at the end of the survey, if you want your certificate of participation for the webinar, you can enter your email address. And so the URL is there, and it's also in the pod on the side. Underneath the attendees list, you should see a link to it there as well. We really appreciate your feedback, and it drives what CTD does, and it gives me feedback on what you liked or wanted to have changed in what I'm doing as well, and I really appreciate that feedback. So we're going to take a look at a picture missing there. Let's see. Whoops. Seems to be a couple pictures missing, so I'm gonna flip over to the PowerPoint that I have open on my screen. So I'm gonna share my screen, and I want you guys to take a look at. I want you guys to find it behind me, to take a look at a couple of pictures that we've got up here, and tell me, let me just put this into presentation. So tell me, take a look at those pictures right there. We've got some kids playing with blocks, and we've got a very lovely worksheet with some adorable animals. But why don't you tell me, which activity do you think is more engaging? If you go ahead and put that in the chat window, type in the chat window, which do you think preschoolers or anybody might prefer to do? And then let's look at another picture, and tell me, which of those two activities do you think, which of those two activities, the worksheet or playing in the sand box, do you think supports the development of mathematical understanding? And go ahead and type that in your chat window, and I'll flip back over in just a second and look at that. And let's look at one more set of pictures. Which activity encourages problem solving? So we've got a nice couple of screens from an app there, and that's an app, not a worksheet. And we've got a play kitchen. So which of those, sand or the worksheets? Blocks or the worksheets, sand table or the worksheets, or in the play kitchen or the play store rather, or that. So let me flip back over to Adobe and to the PowerPoint and get the PowerPoint back up. And so I've got, Courtney thinks that both of them might be, so they might be fun to do the worksheets. The blocks, Kim and Jackie think the blocks. Shelby says the blocks would be more than the worksheet. And scroll back over to where I need to be. Oh, there we go. There's my pictures back up. Yay. So excited. So we've got some people saying, oh, maybe the blocks in the sand box, the sand play, playing in the sand, and even for the last one, the toy store, the hands-on activity. So SLP Deb says, that's pretty clear, the hands-on activity. So yeah, that's really, this was not too hard of an answer. And not that there aren't kids that enjoy doing worksheets. My daughters, when they were younger, their favorite thing to do was to play school and give me worksheets to do. But the idea that kids need hands-on play, and it's not about worksheets to teach kids about play and problem solving. So today we're going to look at some developmentally appropriate apps and other media resources that support the development of play and problem solving in alignment with those best practices of media use that we've talked about the last couple weeks. And we're going to look at how you can integrate mobile technology in a universally designed for learning early environment. And so there's some excellent research out there that shows that there's a really strong relationship between play, teacher-child interactions, and the development of early math abilities. And the findings that came out of this are that the more you talk about numbers to children, the more they learn numbers. So having those early math conversations are really, really critical. And that when you talk about math, they talk about the processes of math, and teachers can facilitate that. So when kids talk about math, when they talk at the sand table about pouring and that this has more and this has less, and that I can pour, I can find 3 critters in the sand table, or when they talk about the blocks and that one is long and one is short and how can I build this high, and that when kids talk about those processes, teachers can facilitate it. And that when teachers support children's play and they support it in a way that is really aligned with what they're doing, this is called a good fit play reaction. And a good fit play, it should say interaction. And a good fit play interaction associated with increases in mathematical thinking. So kids really being supported by the adults in their environment, in their play, and that the teachers talk about it and support it helps with mathematical thinking. So there is a strong alignment between play and mathematics. And the National Council of Teachers in Mathematics and the National Association of Education of Young Children came out with a policy statement a few years back, about 2000 something, early 2000, that affirmed that high-quality, challenging, and accessible mathematics education for 3 to 6-year-old children is a vital foundation for future mathematics learning. And really what the takeaway is that in every early childhood setting, whether it's home, whether it's in the library, whether it's in a daycare, whether it's in a preschool, children should experience effective research-based curriculum and teaching practices to support mathematics. And so to achieve this, teachers and other key professionals should provide ample time, materials, and teacher support for children to engage in play, so that they can manipulate mathematical ideas with high interest. That we need to, as educators, as parents, we need to enhance children's natural interest in mathematics and their disposition to use it to make sense of their physical and social world. So kids talk about who has more, who has less. I want more. I know how much you have, and I want as much as you have. It's not fair. He's got more than me. All of those early interests in quantity. Whose is bigger, whose is smaller. That's farther away, that's closer. All of that, they use it in their conversations and in their world. It's a part of it, and we really need to look at that as math learning and nurture it. So there are some skills that are considered foundational skills to develop mathematical proficiency, and those are counting, data analysis, measurement, number operations, number sense, pattern, sets, shape, and spatial relationships. And those are the skills that when we work on with kids early on, it gives them the ability to tackle more complex mathematics as they get older. So Erickson Institute, Erickson Early Learning Institute, came out with some big ideas in early mathematics instruction, and we're going to look at a few of these. One of them is the idea of sets, and the idea that attributes can be used to sort collections into sets, and that the same collection can be sorted in different ways, and that sets can be compared and ordered. So if I have a set of, for example, if I have a set of toy cars, if I have a collection of toy cars, I could sort it into all of the red cars, and all of the blue cars, and all of the yellow cars. I could take that same collection and I could sort it as all of the vans and all of the Jeeps and all of the sports cars. So if I have a collection, I can look at those attributes and sort them in different ways, the same that we can with shapes, for example, so that if I can sort things by their color, I can sort things by their shape, I can sort things by their length, by their size, but I can take that collection and sort it in many different ways, and I can compare and I can order it. So the idea of number sense is that quantity is an attribute of a set of objects, and that we can use numbers to name specific quantities, and that the quantity of a small collection can be intuitively perceived without counting. And so it's a real important concept that young children have very early on. So when you talk about number sense, that's really what it's talking about, that there's quantity and we use numbers to name specific quantities. There was some early research we're going to look at in just a minute about that, how even very young children have this early number sense, even without counting. So again, here's an example of how counting can be used can align with those attributes that we talked about a couple slides back. That counting can be used to find out how many things are in a collection. So if we have that collection of cars, we can count how many cars there are. And counting has rules. I see that text is really little on there, but there should be a link up for the PowerPoint. That counting has rules, and they apply to any collection. And the rules are hierarchical rules, and kids learn them. So the phase one is that there's a stable order, that 1 is always before 2, and 2 is always before 3, as we count. And then there's the one-to-one correspondence. And so that when I see one thing, I associate one numeral, one naming of a number with it, and 2 is 2, and 3 is 3. And that the order, phase 3, is that the order I count things is irrelevant. So I could count that group of red trucks. I could go from right to left and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I could count them from left to right. I could count them from top to bottom. It doesn't matter. It's still going to be the same number of trucks and cars regardless of where I start counting. And the last thing is that phase 4 is cardinality, and that's the understanding that the last number that I end on when I count a collection is the number that there are in that collection. So to know that when I get to 10, if there's 10 vehicles there, that 10 is the number of vehicles that there are, so that when I add on it, so that idea of cardinality. So those things develop in children in that order, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and that's really the basis for moving on in numbers sense with mathematics sense, so that when they talk about counting and cardinality, that's really what that term means, that you end on that number. So number operations is another big idea in mathematics, and it's that sets can be changed by adding items or taking some away. So it's the beginning understandings of addition, of subtraction, which then lead, of course, to multiplication and division. It's that sets can be compared using the attribute of numerosity and ordered by more than, less than, and equal to. And when we talk about numerosity, it's really that idea that that ability to discriminate an array of objects. So how many objects are in a set, okay? And so that we can look at sets of objects and see that there's more in one and less in another, or that a set of objects is equal to another set of objects. And then that the quantity is the whole, and that can be decomposed into equal or unequal parts. So if my whole is 10, I can make 5 and 5, I can make 3 and 7, I can make 4 and 6, and that the parts can then be composed to form the whole again. So my 4 and 6 can come back together and be my 10. So really, that's where the basis of developing addition, subtraction, and beyond comes from. Patterns we know, are sequences, and they can be repeating. There are usually two types. Patterns can either be repeating, where it's like A, B, A, B, A, B, or it can be growing, where it's A, B, C, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E. They're governed by a rule, and they exist in the world, as in that quilt, and in mathematics, and in reading as well. So understanding patterns is a basic pre-reading skill. And that identifying the rule of a pattern brings predictability and allows us to make generalizations and assume what might happen next. And it's important for kids to see that the same pattern can be found in many, many different forms. So the last big idea I think that we're going to be talking about today is the idea of a shape. And that shapes can be defined and classified by their attributes. So how many sides they have, whether they have angles or corners, whether they have, whether they are straight lines or whether they are curved lines like a circle, and the idea that shapes can be combined and separated, so using those words again, composed and decomposed, just like numbers can, to make new shapes. So if we're looking at those blocks there, you can see that the hexagon is actually composed of triangles, and how that can be composed and decomposed to form sets. So those are really the basic ideas that were in there as far as understanding that there are some very important big ideas that young children can understand, that those are things that kids are learning in preschool as they're moving into kindergarten, that they're beginning to develop those ideas. Piaget was wrong. Piaget believed that young children did not have that concept of numerosity, that they couldn't tell that something was more than or less than something else. And research actually showed recently that very young children, as early as 4 to 7 months, could actually distinguish between two sets and responded to the one that there was more. And that if you gave a young child a choice between two bottles of milk, for example, and one had more milk than the other, that they would prefer to be given the bottle with more milk, not less milk. So they understood from an early, from a very early age, that concept of numerosity. And there's actually been some studies that have shown that when you've matched tones, like auditory tones, to numbers of objects, that children would look to the, young children would look to the number of objects that corresponded with the number of tones. So they're understanding that equality in numbers there, even well before they know what numbers and counting actually is. So it's really fascinating what young kids, and I think there's a lot of misperceptions about what young kids can do with math, and I think that early childhood educators tend to focus really heavily and feel really comfortable on early literacy skills, but don't always focus as much on math. Or if they do, they're not always sure that why they're doing what they're doing. Whereas, why am I teaching kids, concepts of print? Why am I showing them the front of the book? Why am I showing them what a word and a letter is? They get that. But the same thing is true with all of those early math skills. And those early math skills that we learn and develop through play, not really through worksheets. So again, children have an innate number sense, and the math skills in kindergarten actually predict third grade test scores in both reading and math. So what kids are learning as they come into school really has an impact on not just their developing of math skills, but their development of reading skills. So what we really want to talk about is how we can encourage mathematical thinking through play. We want kids to be able to recognize and label measurable attributes of objects. We want children to be able to notice and copy simple repeating patterns. We want to be able to use shapes to create an object or picture. We want to see and label with the correct number patterned collections. We want to be able to compare and sort according to attributes. We want to be able to group objects by amount. We want kids to be able to differentiate quantity. We want them to understand that numbers can be composed and decomposed in a variety of ways, and understand that shapes can be composed and decomposed in a variety of ways. So we're going to look at some different tools and resources that give kids the opportunities through play to develop those skills. So keep thinking about those skills as we look at the resources and the tools that we're going to take a look at. I want to just reiterate for those of you that have been here or if you're new today, that what makes an effective early childhood app. And so again, that it's open-ended to support play and problem solving, that it promotes concept development, literacy, and language through play and exploration as opposed to through drill and kill, that it includes rich, engaging activities that invite a high degree of interactivity and control by the user. So they're not just passively watching and seeing what happens on the screen, but they are impacting what happens on the screen. That it enhances and encourages movement, encourages interactions with adults or peers rather than simply solitary exploration. Although I did have a conversation with somebody today, and I said, it's okay. We know that there is those days that you just need your child to watch Frozen for 15 minutes so that you can take a shower, and that's okay. But that in our work with kids, that it's really about interactions and not passive babysitting. And that resources and materials that we're using are culturally diverse and free of stereotypes, and that they meet a developmental need. So let's take a look at some different things. The first thing I want to show you is actually not an app, although you can access it on the iPad or on any other tablet without any problem. And it is called the Illuminations tool, and I'm sorry, it's called the Patch tool, and it is from the it is from the website Illuminations, which is actually a UK, I believe it's a UK product, and it's I have a comparison up there because this is something that is really important. It's not, you can do this not just with an app, but you can do this with low-tech pattern blocks as well. And those you find in almost every pre-K classroom, and you can find them in the dollar store, a tub of pattern blocks. So we'll take a look at the Illuminations. I'm going to show it on my iPad, but this is just a website, so you can use it on the computer as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And flip over. Okay, perfect. We've got that up. Move this move this over so it doesn't interfere with that. Okay, so you can see it's called the patch tool. It is just got your basic shapes on there. I can move things in, and I can take a look at, well, there I've got my hexagon, and I've got my, always so bad at the name of the shape, rhombus. And I can see how if I hold that rhombus and I use my rotate tool, I can rotate that around. So I've got the tools on the left there. And then, whoops, I've got to remember to, I'm going to make it rotate all the way around again because I've got to remember to release that when it gets where I want it to be. So there, I release that. And then I can put those two together, and I can really see, wow, I can make that shape. I think more importantly, so I've composed and I've decomposed. I'm composing and I'm decomposing those shapes. I can use that, and I can build, and I can have fun, and I can explore. Again, that's just as important as, that open exploration is just as important as testing kids on, can you make, what can you do to build a shape. So again, I can sit and I can play with that. Oh, wow, I wonder what I need to do in order to make this shape from other shapes. And again, I can create that, and I can slide that in there. So again, I'm composing and I'm decomposing. But it's very open-ended. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm not being told what I have to do and what I don't have to do. But I can certainly I do have the ability, so if you see there on the screen, I can choose a pattern if I want to have kids build a pattern. But more importantly, that I can go in there and just do it from freeform. So I'm going to flip back over to Adobe and stop sharing and go back into the PowerPoint, which should come up on my screen in just a moment. We've seem to flip back to the beginning, but that's okay. Oh, PowerPoint back. It's coming. Okay, there we go. So again, this is the patch tool, but it can be done, it's awesome that it can be done with technology. It's a great way to engage kids. I think this is really an excellent tool for kids that might not have fine motor skills. Could be a good assistive technology for some children who don't have the fine motor skills to be able to manipulate traditional pattern blocks. But there is nothing wrong with getting out those traditional pattern blocks and giving them to kids to play with as well. They are both excellent ways to work on those concepts of sorting into sets, composing and decomposing, understanding the attributes of a collection, etc. So now we're going to take a look at wood blocks. And we've got wood blocks that you just play with that are fabulous, fabulous for play and for building math skills. But we also have a number of different apps out there for to imitate that. And so one of the ones that I like is called Wood Blocks for Kids. That's pretty descriptive name of that app, but that's what it's called, Wood Blocks for Kids. It's free, although there are some in-app purchases with it, but I've never actually found the need to get to those in-app purchases. And so we'll flip out and share the screen. I'm going to share the screen with you in just a second. I don't think you guys need to hear the background music for that app. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and get over into Wood Blocks for Kids. And there we go. So I can go to Start. It does have a couple ads on there, so that might be a reason to buy the full version. Although once you get into playing with it, you shouldn't have an issue with it. So again, you can see what are locked, and that's if you've got, if you go pay for the in-apps purchase. But you simply tap on the plus button, and it gives you all these different blocks that you can choose from and be able to manipulate and move around. I can go pick up a whole bunch more, so I've got some things to play with. I can get some triangles. I can get some red ones, and maybe I want to get some long, skinny ones. Get a few different things on my go away, and so that I can get some different things in there. So you can see how I could actually, I'm going to turn that volume down, so that I could actually get a few different things. I can play with them, and you can see how as I manipulate the blocks, they have the same type of mobility that a regular block would have. So if something were to tilt and tip, it's going to be able to do that as well. So, you can get into that whole, I've knocked that down, which is what young kids really like to do. And they can get into the idea of, well, does it balance? No, it's not balanced that way. What do I have to do in order to balance my blocks there? What do I need to do to make sure that that becomes balanced so that my blocks won't tip over and I can build as tall a tower as I possibly can? And what happens if I add that over there? Is it going to tip? So really a fun way to engage with blocks. And again, I think for some children that have some motor needs, this can be a real bridge to being able to play and have those experiences with them. So I'm going to flip out of that and go back to Adobe and stop sharing my screen with you and flip back into the PowerPoint. So just waiting for the PowerPoint to come back. So as we're doing this, if you all have apps that you've used, please feel free to share them, that you really like for play. We're going to look next at the drawing pad. We looked at this in the very first webinar briefly, but I think just to sort of reiterate how important this sort of pre-literacy type activity is what we often think about that drawing is, and is really important for mathematics as well, and it's very play-based. And that within a tool like Drawing Pad, and there's lots of different apps out there, you can get into using stickers and stamps and a whole bunch of drawing tools and papers, and that you can get into the vocabulary of math with drawing long, short, wide, skinny, direction words, the ability to flip and resize objects, and that those abilities to flip and resize are really key critical ideas that as kids get older that they can explore early on with this. And that's actually one of the kind of cool things that you can't do with a pencil and paper as much. And you can import in pictures from your camera, and you can move objects to create and recreate and reorder sets. So we'll flip over into Drawing Pad. So I'm going to go back over to and then we're going to look at one other app from this as well. So I'm going to go back in and share my screen with you. Move this over. And we're going to go ahead and create a new page. I do love how clean and just really nice this is. It just looks so realistic, so I could get into all the different drawing tools that there are in here, including different papers, different markers. I can get into choosing the background of my page with paper. I can get back to all my different tools if I want different paints. I've got all different paint brushes that I can choose from. So there's really a lot of user choice available. You're not dictated by just one or two choices in there. And kids can really get in there and explore all of the different types of resources that there are. There are some really awesome stickers. And while this is a few dollars app, like maybe $3 or $4, it has a ton of different stickers in there. So kids can, whatever it is that they enjoy and like, that they can go and take and create. And so you can see I could very easily make that large. I can make it small. I can flip him around. He's not flipping. And you could see how we could get into sets. So do I want more, horses, and we could talk about, well, I could have one big horse and two small horses and one kind of creepy looking squirrel there. So again, how you can get into all of those different tools, how I can get into the different shapes of, let's get my drawing tool there. Oh, there we go. So I can get into all the different shapes within some of those drawing tools there, circles, with different colors. So how I can, really play and explore with this and be able to move, because I can keep manipulating. Let's get rid of my bubbles there. So because I can keep moving around these the different items on the page, is how I can really get engaged with how I can sort and resort different shapes. So again, that's a drawing pad, and there's just so much on there. I can do text with that as well if I want to type, and just a lot of different resources and tools, a whole host of crayons and colors and shades that I can use with that. I'm going to take you guys now into a different creativity app. I don't want to say it's a drawing app so much, but another kind of the same idea. It's called Magnetic ABC, and we're going to look at it not so much from an ABC standpoint, but from that math standpoint. So I had it comes with different scenes that you can choose. I just had since it was Halloween the other day, I had that nice spooky Halloween up, and it has different. These would be the magnetic letters, so to speak, that are here, but it comes with a number of different, whoops, did I just lose my screen? I'm going to try sharing that one more time with you. Share my desktop, there we go. I can get into, so if I wanted kids to be able to work on some beginning concepts of what we talked about earlier with addition and subtraction, of being able to compose and decompose sets with numbers, I could pull out some little goblins, ghosties, and I could pull out some pumpkins, and I can reorder the size of them. I can make them bigger, I can make them smaller, I can play with them, but then I can get into some nice early understanding of how I can add up. So, how many, that numerosity. I could see at a pretty quick glance I've got 3 ghosts, and I can see at a pretty quick glance that I've got 2 jack-o'-lanterns. So I could put out my number 3 for that, and I could put out my number 2 for that, and we could get into talking about, well, if I put them together, if I put my jack-o'-lanterns and my ghosts together, that idea of composing, what am I going to get? I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 jack-o'-lanterns. Oops, wrong mathematics symbol there. Let's go for the plus. And 2 pumpkins is going to equal 5. So some really nice way to get in and play and have some fun with numbers, making sets, making collections. And again, those are just a few of the things I've got all sorts of shapes I could get into. So even if I didn't want to work on some of that early addition and subtraction, that I could use all the different shapes with that. And again, I could do a lot of this with stickers. Low tech. It does not have to be all high tech, but a fun way to do it. So I'm going to go back out and stop sharing and head back over into my PowerPoint. And head back into my PowerPoint. Okay, so want to look at a couple of really fun apps from Toca Boca. Has anybody played with any of the, there's a whole bunch of different Toca Boca apps out there, and I know they're kind of wild and crazy and a little fun, but we're going to look at them from a mathematics standpoint. They are awesome for language, creativity. So has anybody played with any of the Toca Boca before? So we're going to take a look at that. The Toca Boca Robots is just an awesome STEM app, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It gives you some really fun design choices, allows you to get into experimentation, allows you to work with positional concepts, a lot of great trial and error, and lets you test your hypotheses and also come up with what your results are. So really, really super fun that way. And we're going to switch over to that in just a second. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to get into Toca Boca Robot Lab. Okay, we've got him over here. And when it gets a little louder, I will let you guys. It has some great, the Toca apps have some great parent resources with it, and they actually encourage you to print out different cards and do it low-tech as well. And so it has some really nice resources for parents or teachers as well. So we'll go ahead and start the lab. And I love it. It's just like they've got this great box, and it's asking you, well, you got to pick 2 legs, and what are your choices? So really, again, that user-driven choices. What do you want for the body? What do I want for my head? And arm choices. I like the fact that I can have different choices for each arm. They don't have to be symmetrical if I don't want them to, but we could talk about concepts of symmetry or not. So now I've got my little guy, and I need to make him, sorry, I just needed to adjust my screen. Come back, robot. Come back. I lost my robot by, let's see if we can make him come back. I may have to figure out where he went. Come back, robot, come back. Let's try. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to move my screen around and see if I can find him. It's not helping me. I hear him somewhere, but I can't seem to find him. So there he comes. I'm gonna actually, when I flipped my screen around, I kind of lost my guy, so I'm gonna see if I can exit out of that and start him again. Come on, go away. All right, there we go. I'm going to go back to my book, my Toca Boca, and try this one more time. It's the orientation. It's what messing me up is the orientation on my screen is different from the orientation that you guys are seeing on the computer. So we'll build our robot real fast. I got my legs. I got my body. I got my head. That guy looks like he's got his head in the wrong place, but that's okay. Got my arms. Got my other arm. All right, now we're going to make him fly. So now we've got to get him. He needs to try to get those stars is the goal. And I can see it's telling me that I need to go up. We can really talk about up and to the left and to the right. And now what am I knocking over? Let's see if I can get over here. I'm going down. I'm going left. I'm going up. Oh, he's running into things. So you can see how I can really get into some nice experimentation. I'm looking for some stars, but I haven't found my stars yet to try to get my star. Oh, I see one. There's a star. Got it. I got one. All right, let's see now. What happens if I play on that ball? So again, the objective is to get to the star, but I can do a lot of things while I'm doing it. I don't have to follow just a certain set way to go. But now it's telling me to go this way over, and now I'm going to go down. And, I'm going to go over, And eventually, I'm going to get caught by that magnet, but I didn't get as many stars as I wanted. So, oh, there's one. Okay, let's see if I can find one more star. And if I don't, well, let's see, can I get it out through there? I can. And then eventually, I'm going to get caught by the magnet. So you can see how you could really get into some different experimentation and everything with Toca. And it gives me some feedback on how well how well that went. So I'm going to flip out. As much as I love that, I want to have time for a couple more things. So I'm going to flip out of Boca Robot Lab and head back over to Stop Sharing and get back to the PowerPoint, because I am going to show you one other Toca app that I just love. It's probably my favorite. Is the Toca band. Okay, so I need you guys to participate now, and I need you guys to tell me, this is an app where we're gonna, it's about music, and I want you guys to do a little bit of brainstorming and tell me, what can kids learn, what skills can they learn by playing with music, by getting an opportunity to play with something that gives them music opportunity. So can you guys give me some input in here? So I see Shelly's typing and Jackie's typing. What kind of things do kids learn from music? So I'm just waiting. What do we learn? What do kids learn from music? Before we go into it, I want you guys to give me some feedback. Emily, what do we learn from music? You've been such an awesome cheerleader for all of my Twitter about this program. Some people were typing, but I'm not seeing anything. Oh, here we go. I'm getting it. Following directions, fractions, rhythm, patterns, absolutely. Sequence, counting beats. Is this an app you can get on a NAEYC? I have no idea what a NAEYC is, Regina. You're going to have to tell me what an NAEYC is. I know they have it for Android, if that helps. So sequencing, counting beats, measure rhythm, patterns, following directions. Those are all like long and short, high, low, medium. Those are all really, really good, really good things. So we're going to flip in and look at Toca Band. Toca Robots is a few dollars. It's like maybe a $4, $3 app. Toca Band is free. So it's the one Toca app, so it's an Android tablet for kids. So I think most of the apps that we're looking at are available for both Android and iOS. So if it's Android, you should be in good shape. So let's go ahead and share my screen and go into Toca Band, which is just so much fun. And let's go open it up. Let's see, you guys aren't seeing it. You're seeing black. Let's try this, make sure we're good. I'm going to make sure I'm being mirrored right here. So let's make sure we're mirroring. It should be good. I'm going to try this one time. Let's see, I'm going to put that baby down for a second, and let's try to get it back up. I thought I was doing so well. Everything was working so great with all the mirroring, no problems. And of course, there's still one more time. So let me get that back up here and for you so that everybody can see. I'm going to get something went away. Give me 2 seconds and we will get everything back up. So let's get Air Server back up. This is how, by the way, if you didn't know, this is how you have to mirror. I am working from my Mac, and I am mirroring my iPad to the Mac. So it gives you a QR code to scan. I go ahead and I scan it with my iPad, and in a moment, I will be mirroring again. Hallelujah. There we go. I'm going to move this baby out of the way and get back to Toca Boca Band. So if you wanted to know how to mirror on an iPad onto a Mac, that's how you do it. Okay, so this is Toca Band. It is totally free. I love it. I think it is really one of those things you could use with almost any age group. We've got all my little players. You're not seeing them all on the screen, but hopefully. Oh, there you go. So you guys are seeing them now. I'm going to turn the volume up because if you can't hear it, it's not going to be too good. So we're not getting sound. La, 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 la. I could sing for you, but that's what my children hate. And I have absolutely no idea. I've got my sound turned all the way up. I'm going to make sure the sound is all the way up on this, but we're still not hearing sound. So I'm going to try exiting Toca Boca for a second because it's really not nearly as good if there's no sound. Try that one more time. Let's get back over here to Toca Band. Oh, there we go. There's sound. So I'm going to not try to talk over the sound if you give me a second, but I'm so glad we've got sound back. And here we go. All the little critters come in. Yeah, come back. Try that one more time. I promise it never usually freezes. It's only because we're doing a webinar right now. That's just doing it because I was so confident before that all my technology was working well. All right, let's get our little singer. And she goes back down. So you can see how and hear how every time I add a player to the band, it changes it. And when I hit it, it crashed on me. Really, truly, it's never crashed on me before. But you can see how you can get into some different rhythms. We're going to try this one last time before I say goodbye to Toca Band. We're going to try this one more time. Come back. Not being happy at all with me. So I don't know why. I really, truly have never had that problem before, so I apologize. But that is Toca Band. Maybe I need to update my software. And I'm going to switch back out. I'm going to turn the volume down and switch back out. And if I get it working well, I'll switch back over. But I hate to have it keep crashing with you guys watching and us only having a few more minutes left. So I'm going to stop sharing because we just have a few more things to look at. We'll get the PowerPoint back up. Get the PowerPoint back up. Just waiting for the PowerPoint to come back up. Okay, so we talked about some of the things. So I really want to reiterate that there is nothing in this presentation that requires technology. Like, this was a technology presentation, right? But there's nothing that I showed you about math and play with kids that actually requires technology. But almost everything that I showed you in this presentation can be done using technology. And so that's really where that idea of that universally designed for learning environment can provide opportunity for learning with flexible materials driven by individual preferences and a wide variety of options. So if a kid wants to use crayons, they can use crayons. If a kid wants to use the iPad and the drawing program, they can do that. If the kid wants to play with real blocks, they should be able to play with real blocks. If they want to play with the virtual blocks, that's there for them as well. I mean, really providing that those options and variety for kids is really, really critical. I'm playing with my Toca Boca. If you can hear that in the background, I'm trying to see if I can get it to play with me without crashing. It's not being happy when I try to tap on it to make the patterns. So again, there's not just a single right way, and I hope that people are walking away from this feeling like there's not just one right way. I want to, before we move on to the last little bit, I want to show you, I'm going to be a little brave, and I want you guys thinking about the different apps, the different qualities of apps that we talked about. I got sent some app in the mail from a company called Tiggly, and the kind of cool thing about Tiggly is that they have I'm going to go into the photo and going to go into my camera, that they have manipulatives that you can use on the screen. So I just want to show you. I haven't really tested this app yet, although I played with the ABC versions of it, and they're pretty cool. But I just want to be able to show you. So I'm going to share the screen one more time. I'm going to show you what you guys are going to get to see me on the telephone in all of my glory at the end of the day in my very, very messy office. So hi everybody. And what I want to show you is these are the manipulatives that you use in this Tiggly. You can see there's says it's mirrored backwards because I'm using. So these are the different shapes that you can use on the activity. So there's like a triangle. No judgment for the state of my office right now, please. Okay, and there's a star. So now I'm going to stop looking at you because really you all didn't need to see my messy office. And I'm just going to open up one of the Tiggly apps that is on there, which I thought was kind of interesting. And we'll share that really. So there's a couple. I haven't evaluated these completely. So I would like you guys, using the criteria that we have of what you think this is. So it's telling me to tap on the screen with my shape. So I'm going to take the circle shape. You can't see it, but I'm going to take the circle shape, and I just tapped on it, and it gives me a circle. And it says it's a pumpkin. I'm going to tap one more time on the screen with my circle and see what happens.
Oh, cranberry.
I'm going to tap one more time with the circle and see what happens.
You found a delicious red apple.
Okay, I'm going to tap, maybe I'll share with you. I'm going to tap with the square and see what happens.
Candy.
And I think I'll tap with the triangle just to see what happens.
I'm a zebra.
So I could like move those things around a little bit. I could maybe, so seeing what happens. I'm just playing with them.
I'm just ripe for the picking.
Okay. I'm going to see what happens. I push the star. And, it looks like I can either take a picture. Okay, so I just took a picture and put it to my, or let's do one just to see what happens. Or if I do the star again, and
Now, make up a story.
okay, so it lets me then make up a story. So it's recording right now. So it's recording what we're saying. So if I hit that again, and then I'd be able to play that back. Okay, so I would like you guys, we've got like 2 minutes left. I'm going to switch back. This is the really like basically I figured out how to use the app, but I hadn't played with it. So let's go back and stop sharing. And I'd just like to hear your, this is your third weekend. I'd like to hear what you guys think of this particular app that somebody sent me. What do you think? So if we kind of remember, I can go back, if we remember some of the things that we want in apps, and what did we think of that? mean, it's kind of cool that it had manipulatives that you use on top of it, as opposed to simply having to use your fingers for drawing. And they're soft. They're like a silicone, and they don't damage the iPad screen. So Stacy says she likes that it's interactive. So definitely, I thought it was kind of cool that it had the recording part. It's open-ended, and the child's in control, and it allows for manipulation, definitely, Peggy. So you guys are helping me evaluate this app that I hadn't played with before today, because I trust you all now. You've learned so much. I didn't understand the connections between the object and the effect. Yeah, it was kind of like a little weird, like what does a piece of candy really have to do with a square, because it was kind of a rectangle. But it does promote imagination. I mean, I think I would let a kid play with this one. I don't think it is I think I like other apps maybe better, and there's a whole series of these, and it's by Tiggly, and I think the apps themselves are free. It's by Tiggly. That's the name of the company. I think the apps themselves are free, and then you pay for the manipulatives, and you can do it with or without the manipulatives. So Tiggly is. So as an OT, I like so Bernadine, as an OT, I like the combination of, I'm looking for her, a combination of motor and visual spatial, and the motor impaired child could add their voice and tell a story. Yeah, that is actually cool. And these would definitely be pretty easy to grab onto. They're like pretty decent size, and they're silicone, and you could definitely kind of maybe figure out even a way for a kid to grasp them. So definitely my OTs are saying, yeah, fine motor difficulties, find this a wonderful way to demonstrate. Addition, yes, you're right. You were thinking about that. We could make some sets, and they could add. Very, very cool. So I appreciate you guys. And then dictate the math sentence in the, see, you guys are brilliant. I wasn't even thinking in terms of that. That's really excellent. Very open-ended, a lot of audio and visual input. So thank you guys for helping me evaluate that. We've got 2 slides left, and it's 5 o'clock, and I know some of you guys got to get out of here. So just the reminders that for the discussion questions, you're going to answer, if you're participating in the course for the CEUs, you're going to respond to the questions, how can you integrate apps for play and problem solving into your early learning environment, and how do you determine what tools and resources are used for enhancement of learning, and what tools are required as assistive technology. And we talked about some of that with some of these different things, like how the Wood Block for Kids app might be a great app for a kid that doesn't have the fine motor skills to really manipulate regular wooden blocks. So again, that idea. And then your instructional activity is to create a wish list with justifications for purchase of each item in relationship to the content of the course and the best practices in use of mobile technology with young kids, and of the technology tools and resources that you would like to have in your universally designed for learning environment, early environment. So I really appreciate those of you who came once, who came twice, and I really, really appreciate those of you who came 3 times. I had a lot of fun doing this series, and I learned something about technology myself. So with doing all the mirroring. So we want to hear from you. So please take a couple minutes and fill out the survey. And I hope that I will see you online answering the discussion questions. The recorded webinar is available tomorrow. And I hope I get to see some of you in the future, again, at ATIA or other places. The resources for all of the mathematics, the articles and research, you can access those directly from that. They should also be in my DIGO page, the Swipe Generation DIGO page with math. So thank you guys for sticking with me through tech troubles and beyond. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week. You're welcome, Bernadine. Thanks for contributing today. And the PowerPoint will be available with the webinar.